By the 1920s, player pianos had become a common feature in bourgeois households around the world. They would play back performances of famous pianists that are captured on perforated paper rolls. More than simply a musical record, these piano rolls could also function as multimedia devices. In the mid-1920s, British music pedagogue Percy Scholes started to employ the paper rolls as tools for music listeners. He added texts, images, and annotations onto the surface of the rolls so that people at home could see an analysis of the music while listening to it. The name of the project reflects this idea: AudioGraphic music. As Scholes explained, it was immensely effective to present music to the listener through two senses instead of one. As we shall see, some of the pedagogical principles that Scholes explored in this project live on in digital media today. In developing the AudioGraphic music project, Scholes collaborated with the Aeolian Company, a leading manufacturer of player pianos and music rolls. The editorial committees of the project were staffed with some prominent musicians and scholars across Europe and North America. One of Scholes' main goals was to lead diverse audiences to a greater appreciation of the Western musical canon, in a manner so intensely interesting and simple that anyone, even the most unmusical, can understand and enjoy it. The rolls began with texts and images about the composer, their work, and historical context. They also included some description of the piece to be heard and depictions relating to a proposed musical program or a formal sketch. These introductory materials are like a program booklet distributed at a concert, except that they are conveniently packaged into the same medium that produces the music and delivered right into the audience's living room. The goal of making music accessible thus takes on multiple meanings with AudioGraphic music. The idea of printing text onto music rolls was not entirely new. Some earlier music rolls showed song lyrics so that groups standing around the piano could sing along, like an early form of karaoke. With the AudioGraphic music rolls, however, the function of the annotations was educational. At home, listeners can gather in front of the player piano and follow with their ears and eyes as the AudioGraphic roll unwinds and plays the music. Compared to the relaxed scene shown in the ad on the right, the AudioGraphic annotations drew the audience closer to the instrument, encouraging them to listen attentively. Many rolls were annotated not just at the beginning, but also alongside and across the perforations. Since these annotations unfold gradually with the sounding music, they provide a running commentary and highlight musical features visually at the very moment in which they are heard. Let us investigate these strategies in a concrete example that features Bach's B-flat major Prelude and Fugue from the first book of the Well-Tempered Clavier. The musical interpretation is by Harold Samuel, the commentary by Percy Scholes. The introductory texts explain the form of the fugue and its thematic material. Scholes identifies three recurring themes: the laughing tune, the hammering tune, and the fluttering tune. In the following, these themes are labeled whenever they occur and highlighted through red lines, the so-called themophrase lines. The themophrase lines help the listeners to trace the individual voices of Bach's fugue. It is apparent that up to 3 voices interact simultaneously in this polyphonic texture, trading off the subject and the 2 counter-subjects in ever-changing combinations. The comments on the sides of the roll further explain what is going on in music analytical terms. Comments on the right side refer to the upper parts, those on the left to the lower ones. The theme of phrase lines also show that the themes are made up of smaller motifs. For instance, the fugue subject, or laughing tune, is composed of 3 brief phrases. The graphical shapes of these motifs are easy to grasp, even when the roll is unwinding rather quickly and only a short excerpt is visible. Through these annotations, Scholes also demonstrates the music theoretical concept of inversion. When following the roll attentively, listeners should become familiar with the graphical shapes of the theme, such as those of the fugue subject. As Scholes explains in his introductory text, these themes might be inverted, an operation that is made visible through the mirroring of the red lines. And, as Scholes further notes, inversion might also occur between the voices, which can be seen in this excerpt. Significantly, the visual assessment of these musical structures is made possible not just by the annotated lines, but also by the perforations themselves. Indeed, the theme of phrase lines depend on the perforations as notational reference points. Together, the lines and the holes form a new kind of notational system. The perforations represent the individual tones, while the lines synthesize these separate marks into larger coherencies. In this way, the annotation of the theme of phrase lines helps the readers make sense of the perforated patterns as a form of notation. Notice that the representation of the music is more direct than in staff notation. In the vertical dimension, the spacing of the holes reflects the temporal distance between the tones, and the length of the holes indicates the duration of the individual tones. Together, these aspects map the rhythm of the music. Pitch is portrayed horizontally on the rolls, corresponding to the organization of pitches on the piano keyboard. These direct correlations make it easy even for untrained readers to understand the piano rolls as a notational system. As the music plays, the reading process is further guided by the mechanics of the instrument. That is, the perforations function as both sonic and visual cues, activating the tones as sound, while at the same time providing a visual trace of this process. Thus, with the player piano, sound and image are automatically synchronized, so that listeners' attentions are steered in time with the music, even if the tempo might be too fast to read all the comments. As Scholes put it, this then is the character of audiographic music. You see it while you hear it. Today, a variety of audiovisual media aims at achieving precisely these effects in the digital realm. Some are explicitly analytical, such as Tim Smith's videos of Bach's fugues. In others, the analytical features are more hidden, as is the case with Stephen Malinowski's animated graphical scores. But both applications, and many others like them, also share many similarities with the AudioGraphic piano rolls. Indeed, the foundational principles of these recent innovations were anticipated almost a century ago by Percy, Scholes and the Player Piano companies. Their annotated piano rolls can stimulate us to think in yet more creative ways about the possibilities of multimedia music analysis.